Oop. Ah. Hello, everybody. What's going on? It's done just a little bit more for you. There we go. Looks good. How's everyone doing today?
Good.
Good, good.
Good.
Awesome. Hey, Caroline, how you doing?
Hey, I'm good. I'm driving to work right now. I'll be there soon, but I didn't quite get there in time to be able to be looking at you right now.
That's all good. How many days you got left?
Ooh, I think 7.
Oh my gosh, countdown. Bittersweet, I guess.
Yeah, it's exciting, and I'll also be glad to put more time into this, so it's good.
All right, let's go. For anyone that's listening, Caroline works at our favorite bike shop in Colorado Springs, Criterium Bike Shop. Yeah. Hey, Ryan, how's it going, bud?
Good, man.
Awesome.
I was in Colorado Springs for like 2 years and I loved Criterium.
Yeah, best ever, man. They're killing it.
Yeah.
When did you live in the Springs? I did not know that.
08 and 2010.
So, the good times before it got built up. You should see it.
Yeah.
Now. It's crazy, crazy. All right, guys, we're gonna give everyone another like 30 seconds to join, and we're just gonna talk right now. Betsy, how you doing? You're on mute. Sorry, I'll unmute you. There we go. I think that worked. No. Doing well?
I'm doing well. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can now.
Um,
Enjoying a little break.
yeah, enjoying a little bit of a break. And I think I just saw Ryan. Ryan, were you in New Hampshire?
No, he was not.
No. I was trying to think of who was in New Hampshire, but yeah, a little bit of a break. Got a crazy week at work this week, but just ready to get back at it. Not really sure what I'm going to do next season, but I think maybe a little bit of Olympic length rather than halves at my mature age.
You're mature. Your experienced age is what it is.
Experienced, right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
Exactly. Perfect. All right, I'm gonna throw us in gallery view for a second. Quick question, anyone I could see here. How many people got the Pottsheads Plus guide and read it? Anyone? All right, cool. About half. So I'm gonna use this loosely as we talk. I'm gonna mute you again, Betsy. Sorry. Thanks. I'm gonna use this loosely, but then my real hope here is to answer any questions you have about the program, and also just answer any questions you have in general. Like we could talk about anything. Preferably we stay on triathlon, but if you want to talk about anything else, I'm here to listen. So here we go. Let's start off. I'm going to share my screen with you guys. Okay. Can everyone see that? Perfect.
Yep.
Okay. So real simple. For everyone that's been here before, you will know most of this. Anyone that's new, this is better for you guys. So we started Pottsheads Plus program, I believe it was last year. And we started it because we realized that we had some athletes that needed more than a plan, but really didn't need one or want one-on-one coaching, or just the economics of it didn't work for them. And so this program really is like a hybrid between one-on-one coaching and just getting a completely custom plan for the year. The idea is, and I think we started actually during COVID because people were changing their schedules so much as the year went along. So this could be like a scheduling thing, or your life changes during the year, or you just need some help as the year goes along with some education, with updating and like figuring out based on how your body reacted to the training, how to move along. So it's less of linear and it's more based on you and where you're going. So yeah, so that's what it is. I am going the wrong way. And we got the same coaching staff we had last year with the addition of Caroline, who we introduced at our last team meeting. For anyone that's an existing Pottsheads Plus athlete, I'm going to give you an option right now. if you'd like to stay with your current coach that you had the past year, you don't have to do anything. If you're like, hey, I want to try working with someone else, get a slightly different perspective, just a different connection or chemistry, just email me and I will call you or email back and forth with you and we'll figure out someone else for you, maybe a different chemistry going on. So just so you guys know too, anyone who's not aware, with AP Racing, you're always assigned a coach, like if you're a one-on-one athlete or Pottsheads Plus, but in the end, what makes us a little different is we actually coach by committee too. So what does that mean? Let's say Betsy's coach is Steve, right? And Steve is her check-in every quarter or whenever they decide it's important for them to check in and she has questions. But before that or after that, it doesn't really matter. Steve actually comes and sits down with the rest of our staff and provides like a little report on Betsy, provides some information, and then talks about where he wants to go next based on what he saw. All of our coaches then weigh in because we all have different experiences, even though we coach under the same methodology that can maybe help the coach shape what you're going to do. So it's really nice because it's almost like a system of checks and balances for all of us too. So again, if you'd like to work with a different coach, no one's going to be offended by it. Just email me, Daniel@andypottsracing.com. That's Daniel@andypottsracing.com, and I will get you squared away with someone new. Cool. Rock and roll. Our team is awesome. I love our team. For anyone else that doesn't know too, we don't
No
really,
need to call, but just maybe send that letter.
I could totally send that letter. For anyone that doesn't know, we don't really bring on many coaches, and it's pretty rigorous for our coaches to work with us. So for years, it was just Andy and myself and Steve. And then what happens is for a coach to come on with us, they have to train with us for an extended period of time, like actually like coach training, but training. So it's not easy. And because we find coaches learn a lot and we learn a lot about the coach and methodology and just like how to do things, just being on the road together. It's a reason why our camps are awesome too, because you learn a lot just by being around it and kind of absorbing things, because you learn things. It's not just during lectures. It's not just during these videos. You learn things like in the cracks, I guess, which really help. All right. So let's see. We talked about all this stuff. The idea here is so that you guys have the support you need and you have flexibility. So good example is like, I'll just actually go down one more. If you look at the calendar here, like December to January 1st, check-in plan, March to March 15th, check-in reviews. Like this is a very general framework. Anyone that's been part of the program knows that you could probably check in more regularly than that. We allow it because we care about you, your success, but also the check-ins are really based on when your races are, when maybe like we anticipate a shift in your training stimulus so that we can like, oh, she's probably going to react or he's probably going to react to the training around this time. So we'll check in right before or after that and shift focus, answer questions or life events or things going on. So this is the actual check-ins are something for you and your coach to work out together of when you want to do it. Like I said, we typically check in a bit more, and I think there's a bit more communication than what we originally anticipated. The biggest thing I ask you guys is work with your coach on it, get what you need, but also try not to abuse it, because like I have a few athletes that use Pottsheads Plus as a one-on-one coaching program, and it's really difficult because we allocate a certain amount of time for one-on-one athletes, Pottsheads Plus athletes. We only have so much time in the day and week. So if you need to be a one-on-one coached athlete, that's fine. We can set you up for that. If we feel it's becoming a lot, we'll talk about it too. And we will come to you. Don't be offended. That's what we're going to do. But all in all, like I implore you, if you need stuff, you need information, you need to learn, you need something, ask your coach. They're going to help you. They're here to help. They want to help, but try not to abuse it. All right. Is that fair? Someone give me a, yeah, thank you, Ryan. That's a good head nod. A thumbs up. Okay. For anyone who's a Pottsheads Plus coach, If you have not attached your account yet to our Training Peaks account, you need to do that. We cannot coach you if we can't give you workouts and see what you're doing. That is the link. It is in the guide. It's in all the emails I sent. I will resend it again one more time, or a few more times actually, because it'll take some time. Please do that. And then we'll start getting started. For all of you guys, you might get some emails and communications about off-season training and off-season plans. That is only for our plan athletes. If you are a Pottsheads Plus or a one-on-one athlete, you are going to work with your coach to set up your off-season. There is no real off-season. We're just calling that because it's an easier way to name it. Okay, fair, cool, makes sense. Cool, thank you, Ryan. This is my shameless plug, but not really one. Sign up for camp. You should. It's awesome with a capital A, and all the other letters are capitalized too, because my keyboard's in caps lock. For real, I tell every athlete I coach, if you don't go to camp, you're wasting a lot of your money with one-on-one coaching. And that's true statement. It's a harsh statement, but it's a true one. Why do I say that? I kind of said it before. You learn so much about the things we're trying to put on paper for you and try and teach you over the phone by doing it day in and day out at camp, by hearing other people's questions, by hearing the things that Andy, myself, and the other coaches talk about when we're just like sitting around having dinner together, or like stuffing our face with froyo. I don't know. But there's so many things in the weeds you learn. If money is an issue for camp, this is what I always tell people. If money's an issue, contact us. We have some scholarships available that we can push out there because we get some funding to be able to do scholarships, or we just fund it. The other thing is, and I was talking to an athlete about this the other day, if you have the option between one-on-one coaching and no camp, or Pottsheads Plus and camp, you do Pottsheads Plus and camp and you'll get more out of it. At least on the onset, it makes a lot more sense for you. So seriously consider it. It's worth it. It's a lot of fun. It's good memories, tons of laughs too. We will be having I'll be putting out the information for the Blue Ridge bike tour pretty soon too. That one, just caveat, is less of a camp and more of a tour. So there's a lot less coaching going on in that. There's a lot less time where like Andy and myself and other coaches are sitting on your wheel and talking to you as you ride, because of the nature of how this is set up. It's really a point-to-point bike tour. It's rad and it's gonna be a lot of fun. But if you want coaching, you come to Chula Vista or Olympic City. What else I got? Whatever, who cares? He's wearing Rudy Projects, Cask and Coup. Let's go. All right, so that is the overview. It is really simple and straightforward. Not much has changed since last year. The only thing I think that really changed was, I think we changed this last year too, was how we were billing. Because you get billed earlier in the year now. I think it's like February and April or May or June. And just so you guys know, I think we talked about this last year. The reason why we do it that way is because we had a lot of people that would pay in April or at the beginning of the year, get all their coaching, and then decide they didn't want to pay anymore. And we gave them a bunch of stuff and all stuff. And we ended up losing money, and it left our coaches out high and dry a bit too. Betsy, swim camps. Yes, is the answer. They're really hard for us to coordinate timing on right now. The idea, like we were trying to do last year, is like we're gonna go to like, I don't know, Wisconsin for like 4 days, or Ohio for 4 or 5 days, and do a single day camp at each. We did have the option, and we just couldn't figure out timing wise, and we're going to try for next year to do a 5 or 6 day swim camp in the US Virgin Islands, where it'll be great, where it'll be like you're swimming, like you have pool swimming, and then it's like, oh, we take a catamaran out and then we swim from one point to the other, and then we get picked up. That's going to be super fun when we do it. It's a little bit harder. Ryan, check if the camp is in person or virtual. All camps are in person. We like to see you guys and spend time with you. Oh yeah, definitely no sharks in the US Virgin Islands at all. Zero. Actually, it's pretty funny. If anyone knows the US Virgin Islands very well, it's one of the easiest places to swim and sail. Because you could sail everything line of sight, because most of the islands like create like almost like a natural barrier, and you can't really get outside of them. There's some wind issues, but it's not bad. Yeah, Caroline, right in Colorado Springs, Olympic City. That's our best camp. Everyone should go to that. It's fantastic. In our hometown, rock and roll. And there are sharks in Colorado Springs, but we put them away for the camp. Okay. All right. Anyone have any questions about logistics, operations, about the program in general? Anything at all like that? You can unmute yourself if you'd like and ask. If you don't, maybe you got a question about something else, like, I don't know, how the Astros won the World Series. I can't answer that one. I didn't even watch.
So Daniel, it's Greg, if you don't mind.
Yeah, Greg, absolutely. I don't mind at all.
Yeah, cool. So first time ever in any sort of coaching program. And I will be at camp in February. So looking forward to that.
Let's go.
I guess my biggest question for this whole thing is just generally, can you explain the difference between how coaching will incorporate not only what to do, but how to do it, right? So understanding that you have to do certain activities, you have to do certain training blocks. For me, the biggest thing is if I want to get better at running, I need to know how to run better, not just run 500 miles in a year.
Yeah.
So can you just talk about the balance? Yeah.
Technique work, right?
Yeah.
All right. So it's a little trickier with Pottsheads Plus, because that requires a bit more investment in time, right? When you get your training, if there's a specific, I'll use swimming at first because that's the easiest one, right? If there's a specific drill or something you have to do in swimming, there'll always be a link to a video of Andy or myself demoing it and talking about it. 9 times out of 10. If there's not, you just ask for it and we'll send it. We have, like on Andy's YouTube channel, we probably have like 30 or 40 swim technique videos. And we also have about 150 to 200 weight training exercises. So like if you get strength training from us, everything's linked to everything you could ever do. I can tell you in particular with our one-on-one athletes, which you can also do here if you want. Like I tell all my athletes, hey, listen, let's say you need some technique work on swimming. All right, I'll use that one. Just put your phone at the end of the lane, hit record, like put it on like the block, like the diving block. If there's not a diving block, something a little higher up, and just swim a 25 at the away and then towards the camera. So that's a 50. And if you send that, I prefer if my athletes actually just text it to me. I'll reply back within a day and give you some information. And so like we can help. And then they take running, right? Let's say you send me a quick running video, right? I would give you a quick, like, hey, this, and this is something you got to think about. Now, when your coach prescribes your training, he will give you specific types of running to help you become a better runner. Here's a question for you, Greg, Ryan, everyone out there that I can see right now. What is the #1 way to become a more efficient runner? Who wants to be in the hot seat? Let's go. #1 way.
To run more.
No, but that's a great idea. Running more does help. Don't get me wrong. Mary Beth answered in the chat to cycle more. That's actually a great answer in terms of your fitness and to be able to perform on race day. It doesn't improve your running economy though, or efficiency or technique. Anyone? Come on, Ryan. I know you got it. You're a little stumped, it looks like, or you go to the bathroom. I'm not sure. Only
No, I don't have. I mean, I have ideas for techniques in my head that I use back from like high school track days, but
Yeah.
it's always like for endurance stuff, it's always trying to run relaxed.
Yeah, so there's a ton of technique work you can do, right? And Greg, we can get you all that technique work. We talk about it all the time. But the #1 way to become a better or more efficient runner is to run faster. So Have you ever in your life tried to run fast, leaning backwards, or running on your heels, or running with your arms like this? Have you ever tried it? Impossible. The faster you run, the more naturally you get a forward lean. You land mid-foot strike. You do other things. Granted, there's a point where this doesn't happen. You get past that point and you start going crazy and look ridiculous. I concede that point. But there's a lot of stuff in your training, Greg, you will get that's like shorter running that forces run technique. Does that make sense?
Yeah, all good. And that was really the question, is around the balance, right? Are we going to
Yeah.
talk more about what to do or how to do it or both?
Yeah. And so a lot of that also comes up when you spend time in your coach and you talk to them and you just have this conversation and we can figure it out too. It's hard to prescribe technique, specific work per athlete when you're writing something 3 months in advance, 4 months in advance. If that makes sense. Carolyn, what do you think about my number one tip to run faster? I mean, to run more efficiently.
No, that's good. And because I think what I was thinking was cadence, and they kind of go together, because the faster you're running, the quicker your cadence usually, and then you're spending less time on the ground and there's less impact, and it kind of all bubbles together.
Yeah. So in running, specifically for triathlon, there's two types of running. It's tempo or cadence running, and then there's strength running. Most of us need to be better, more efficient at tempo cadence running, but we need to be better at strength running because that's what most of triathlon running is. Especially half Ironman and above. It's all strength running. Courses undulating strength running. And that means like really good knee drive, really strong, like relaxed upper body, forward plane movement. Cool. All right, that was a good question. Anyone got any others?
So logistics question, you were mentioning the swim in the US Virgin Islands. I missed, did you have a date range for that or no?
No. That's not going to happen this year. Definitely not.
Ah,
Yeah,
okay.
I was saying I couldn't plan it for this year, but that was one of the things. I mean, listen, in about August of every year, Andy and I come up with our big ideas and we try and figure them out. That was one of them. Blue Ridge was one. Majorca was one. Bringing a group down to Brazil was one. So anyone that knows about, it was the COVID year. Andy and I went down to Brazil with Brian for like a week or two to train with a bunch of pros and a bunch of amateurs out there too, like a team of like 200 athletes. Craziest thing we ever did in our life. First day we got there, they're like, hey, we're gonna ride, instead of driving, we're just gonna ride from Brasilia to Goiânia. I hadn't been on a bike in 5 months. It was a 152-mile ride. And it wasn't like just like a cruiser. They were trying to break the record. They didn't tell us. And we were riding on a highway. Like it'd be riding down like 90, was that 95 on the East Coast, Ryan? Is that right? Yeah, riding down 95 in the shoulder, where like the guys we're riding with, we're going like 50 miles an hour downhill. As they're going up, they grab onto a semi to go uphill faster. It was insane. But that's a really fun one, the camp. But the level's super high. Like the average age grouper at that camp is like a 945 Ironman athlete, guys and girls. I got worked over all week. It was amazing. So point being, we have a lot of bucket list things. What we pretty much settled on this year was adding Blue Ridge and trying to do the swim clinics and figuring that out. Yeah. Why, you buy a plane ticket already? You ready to go? All right. Other thing to look, Mary Beth, is cadence more important than watts, especially if improving speed is a goal for cycling? I'm afraid to answer that question simply because it could lead you down a wrong path. But watts are, in the end, the be all end all for cycling. But how do you generate watts? You generate through, we'll call it like pressure or power or cadence. That's the equation. It's force times RPMs. So you can increase your speed or increase our watts, overall watts, by increasing our cadence too. Everyone has a different optimal cadence as well, and it depends on the distance you're racing. We have to figure that out for yourself through testing. Typically in Ironman racing, it's like you hear people all the time 90 plus 95 because it's more aerobic than muscular. But typically in Ironman racing, it's around 80 to 85 for most athletes. Same for 70.3 racing. Betsy, good question. Should we reach out now for off-season training? If you already signed a coach, feel free to email them. They are all going to email you this week as well. They were waiting for me to have this meeting with you guys first. Some of you are in contact with your coaches. The ideal time to start really depends on you guys and when you want to start. For our plan athletes, I'm tentatively around like December 1st or 7th for most athletes, just that I coach too, because they're wrapping up the year. Yeah. Georgia, it looks dark where you are. You're in Alaska, right? Will it ever be light?
Yes, yes,
Right there until
yes. It's
okay.
dark. It's
Yeah.
dark. It's almost 8 o'clock. So
Gosh.
yeah.
Do you remember, this is a random aside, it was probably 10 years ago when Tropicana did the fake sun stunt in Alaska?
Don't remember.
It's really cool. I'll send it out to you guys.
Okay.
So I worked on it a little bit, so that's how I know it. But Tropicana did this whole thing where they made a fake sun. It looked like the sun was rising outside a school in Alaska in a town, and then they handed out orange juice to everyone. It was pretty cool. I'll send it out to this group. All right. Anything else? I got 4 minutes before this cuts us off. Go, Ryan.
I'll throw one out there that might be helpful for newbies too. When thinking about like our races or particularly our A race, do we get to have a conversation with the coach in the Pottsheads Plus around like trying to come up with a good strategy for the race, and like how does that look?
Yeah. So a couple things on that. I'm going to let you in a little insight, and I'm going to tell you what we're planning. Insight 1. We used to write race plans for all of our athletes before they raced, for one-on-one athletes. We used to write them. You know how many people followed those race plans? 0. So the number one lesson learned is if you want an athlete to buy into their race plan, they write it. That doesn't mean you're on your own. We do have a guide right now and a form to fill out. It really doesn't work very well because people end up not downloading it. They just fill it in, and then you don't know what you should put in there, because I put sample information. So I'm in the process. I was actually doing it this morning before we got on here. Come up with a way to create, like, I'll call it a form that then gives you back the information you need, right? And then the idea is you fill it out, you do it, you send it to your coach 2 weeks, 3 weeks prior to the race, whatever it is, right? And then you guys sit down together and go over it. Okay. And then, so we're actually adding more work for our coach, pre-race, little talk, chat, whatever, and then post-race, and then where we go next. All right. It requires some work on your end, but it works. It works better that way. All right. I had something else on that, but I don't know. Yeah, I think that was it. Cool. If I want another question, but you guys got any. Rob, come on, Rob. Think of something quick. You can do it. I'm only kidding, buddy. You're all good. Yeah, I shut his video off. That's really funny. Talk to the hands.
Daniel, if you're trying to fill time, I got another one.
Yeah, go,
I
right,
always drive. I drive everywhere I go. Can you tell me the best way to ship a bike to camp?
Ship a bike to camp. Yeah. So we got one, we'll have an option with bike flights, really easy. It's really inexpensive. You put it in a box, it'll show up at camp. We'll have the option for you to assemble it, or we have a mechanic service you can pay for. 2, you get a really good bike bag. And you just put it in the bike bag and you rock and roll. And we have discounts on bike bags. If you need it, just email me. I don't think it's on our site, but I can send it out. 3, maybe we might have the similar option from Best Bikes was with Tri Bike Transport, but the bike flight's really the easiest. And then like,
Also, bike flights from working at a bike shop, bike flights is probably your best option. The insurance is really cheap. I did have a bike damaged by UPS once, and I got a brand new frame like immediately. they take responsibility, but it's cheaper than if you walked into FedEx or UPS, you'd be paying way more than you go to Bike Flights and you're getting the same service. They just have a deal for bikes. So
Yeah.
I would definitely recommend that.
Thank you, Caroline. Yeah, so you put your bike in and hope it gets broken. So you get a brand new one. That's the trick.
Are there rentals available for camp?
Yeah, so that's another great question. So most of our camps, we have rentals. Last year at Chula Vista, we actually had Diamond out and they rented bikes to anyone that wanted them. Otherwise, there are a lot of local shops that have rentals that we set up for you guys. And we usually have a good deal on it too. We tried to do a Criterion, but they never have rentals available. So we have to go to Shields in Colorado Springs. But they have nice tracks, so that's pretty cool. It's pretty expensive. At the end of the day, it's less hassle for you to rent a bike, but it usually costs a lot more. And you're not on your own bike.
Is it usually like 1,000 a week or something, that much, or
What was that? I didn't.
like 1,000 a week?
No, like, so listen, we used to have it for like 150, 200 bucks for the week when we had really good deals. The last time I rented a bike though, I had to rent it from Shields and it was 500 bucks for the week. But you could ship your bike for like, if you mess with the measurements on Bike Flights, which you can do, it's like 150 or 175. It's a pretty good deal.
Hey, Daniel, can I ask one more question?
You get as many as you want.
So on the plans, I would always get confused whether or not it was supposed to be a brick or if it was just 2 workouts for the day. So could we suggest maybe that if it's supposed to be a brick, it gets mentioned in the plan that way?
Yes, so the reason I'll tell you why we don't do it that way, right? The assumption that we have is if you can do a brick, always do a brick. Because it's more time efficient. Forget the benefits of the training, it's just more time efficient. If it can't be a brick, then you split it up. And we don't want to impose that on someone's life all the time. But like when you're doing like long ride, short run, you should do it as a brick, like a Saturday ride, right? I used to also write bricks, like you could do that in Training Peaks, but then people can't log it appropriately and they get all frazzled. So that's why we split them up too. So the assumption is it's always a brick. What I would say though, as well, and this is something we learned a little more this year, like, what's the saying? Make the main thing, right? So if you have like a pretty easy ride, but you have like a tempo or a threshold or a track run, maybe go out in the morning and do the run and then do the bike later in the day if you can. But at the end of the day, what do we say? Triathlon has to fit in your life. Your life doesn't have to fit the triathlon. So do it how you need to do it. And so I understand what you're saying, but that's the reason why I do it that way. Does that work? Cool. All right. See if there's another question, I'll give it 10 seconds.
All right, real quick.
10. No.
Can you hear me?
What?
Rob Tranner.
Yeah, Rob, how's it going, bud?
Hey, not too bad. Nice to finally chat with you, and hi to the group. Real quick, is there a matrix out there? My apologies if this has already been talked about, where we can plug in and know where everyone's racing this year. For example, I'm doing Placid, and then I'm also doing Chattanooga. So they're later in the season, but and then Happy Valley early on.
Yes. So normally we used to have like a Google Doc, right? And everyone would just input it. I have sent out a form you could fill out. And once you fill it out, it'll populate a matrix and I will share with everyone. I will resend that so you have it. I'll probably have to send it about 10 more times, so don't get mad at me. Because even this year, up until now, we didn't have a great schedule because not everyone filled it out. But it's really important, like you said, so people can get together, coordinate. But also, like for us on my side of things, if we know there's 10 people going to Placid, guess what? One of us is going to show up and be there to support you guys too. But if we don't know that, we're not going to plan for it. So you'll see, I think we labeled a couple races that are like our key races that we'll make sure we're there. But again, if there's a race, there's 10 people there, we'll get someone out to those too.
Cool, thanks. I just wanted to make sure that I knew who I could ping for food and, and tubes and all that stuff that of course I forget.
Yeah, you shouldn't need to. You should be running tubeless, but that could be a tech talk if you want.
There you go.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, guys. I appreciate your time. I hope I answered some of your questions. I hope we had a little fun along the way. If anything else comes up at all, call, text, or email me. I'm good. I respond to you, no problem, anytime you need. If you, for some reason, haven't been assigned a coach yet, let me know, because that's something I messed up and I need to assign you. And again, if you want to switch coaches, you just let me know. Sometimes things work great. We figure it out. Most of the time, we're pretty good about it. Sometimes we're not. So just let us know. We're happy to change. Awesome. I hope everyone has a great day. I'll catch you later.
All right, later. Thanks, guys.